Hello and welcome to Mad Old Goes Racing, and today we're in TT Isle of Man, RotE3, and we're going to have a look at the Clypse circuit. Now, we're going to do the same as before. The Clypse circuit, 10.8 miles, 17.7 kilometres. Full circuit, 3 laps, should take about 6.5 minutes a lap, 7.5 if I crash a lot. 90% on the AI again, probably regret that, but we'll give it a shot. And like I said before, I do wish they'd remember that. We're going to go with an interval, and we're going to go in the middle-ish. And again, we'll go with... where are you, Hutchie? There he is. On his bog stock machine. Now, the Clypse circuit was used from 1954. Over the winter of 53-54, they did a bit of work on the roads. I think they widened the area around Governor's Bridge. But basically, I've got a circuit map somewhere. I'll just check to make sure I don't talk out of my arse here. Where's me map gone? The course actually follows 2 parts of the clicked back here. 2 parts of the mountain course. It goes from, well, I'll describe the whole course. It starts off here, and you go up to Parkfield Corner, which is more or less at the top of Bray Hill. Turn right to Williston Corner, and then round the edge of a sort of housing estate to Cronknamona, which is where you join up on the A18 with the mountain course. You then go the wrong way up through Hilbury, through the very, very fast Brandish Corner up to Crignabar. I always have to think, was that Cronknamona or Crignabar? You then turn off onto the B12 up to Ballacarruin Hill, which is apparently the highest point, down to Ballacore Corner, where you turn off on the B20, through Cronknagarrow, Morney Corner, down to the A2 at Hall Corner, then back into the town here, through Whitebridge to where the Manx Arms is. You don't stop for a pint, you turn right, and then through a few tricky little turns to Signpost Corner, where you're back onto the mountain course through to Governor's Bridge, and then back to here. So let's see how we get on. Hopefully it doesn't look quite as stuttery as it did when I was just trying it a second ago. First thing to work out is where the hell to brake for this first corner, which is always a interesting place to start. Now, 454, the reason they came up with this course is because they wanted to reintroduce the sidecars. If you check the Wikipedia page, it actually says for the reintroduction of the ultra lightweight and sidecars. Well, that's not strictly true. The ultra lightweights were reintroduced in 1951 around the mountain course, and for some reason they decided to move them off the mountain course onto this course. The sidecars, they last appeared in 1925. So it had been nearly 30 years since they'd been there, so yes, that was a major reintroduction. There were a few controversies. The manufacturers apparently weren't particularly keen on having the sidecars back. I don't know whether it's the fact that the way the sidecars were built at the time was that basically the sidecar outfit was a bog standard solo racing motorcycle with a bit of Meccano bolted on the side and a wheel hanging off it on a platform that your monkey climbed about on, the monkey being the term for the passenger. But apparently there was several manufacturers weren't particularly happy about the thought of it, so don't know why. Ended up there were 25 entries, I think it was, 23 entries for the sidecars. 18 for the ultra lightweights. far as the sidecars were concerned, there was one other piece of controversy, and that was the fact there was a young lady competing. Namely, a young lady by the name of Inga Stoll, who was a German, who was passengered with, I believe it was a Frenchman. I'd have to think about that one, but she was the first female competitor. Ooh, the Isle of Man. Oh, nearly. Now, I'll get back to the sidecars in a minute, as there's a few interesting points probably. The ultra lightweight race was actually, like the sidecar, run over 10 laps. Took just over an hour and a half. I think it was an hour and 33 minutes. With a average speed of 69 miles an hour. And the ultra lightweights, I mentioned the fact they're actually the 125 class, and we'll try not to crash around here because it's so easy to do. The ultra lightweight class. The ultra lightweights are originally 175cc. I can't remember what year they actually decided to change to 125s, but they had, like I said, been reintroduced in 1951 around the full mountain course. So why they decided to move them onto this course, I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit dodgy. But the winner was Rupert Hossau, an Austrian, on an NSU. Bizarrely, if you look up the results on the TT database, which I will put a link to because there's quite a lot of interesting stuff on there, he actually had a slower time than was it Carlo Ubelia on the MV Augusta, who was 4 seconds faster, but for some reason was classified as second. So I don't know if there was some dodgy shit going on there. But yes, he ended up, I think there was then 4 seconds between those two, and the third pace was about 4 minutes back. So yeah, some quite big gaps at times. There was, like I said, 18 starters in the ultra lightweight and only 9 finishers, so definitely, ooh, bugger. Bloody curbs. Definitely a bit of a war of attrition. The last finisher in 9th place took just over 2 hours. The sidecar, fairly similar speeds. Just under 69 miles an hour, 68.87 I think it was, if I remember rightly, which was 1 hour 34 minutes exactly, if I remember rightly. And that particular race was won by Eric Oliver, partnered by the wonderfully named Les Nutt. Eric, interesting character. He also rode solo machines and actually competed at Grand Prix, whilst also competing in the Sidecar World Championships. 4-time Sidecar World Champion. I think the last time he won the title might have been 53. I'll have to double check that. He came second in 1954, he and Les. He was an interesting character in many ways, but he was also one of the first people to introduce fairings on sidecar outfits. He was one of those people who always rode the same thing all the way through his career. He rode Nortons and with Watsonian sidecars, and he actually had almost a fully faired machine, and it was probably one of the only ones in the race, which possibly gave him an advantage on the straights. Obviously, if you've got fairing, you can tuck yourself in and get a bit more aerodynamic. I don't know if I had to do any pit stops or anything, but yeah, he won the race. was it? 1 hour 34 minutes, 68.87 miles an hour. As I said, there was a few controversies. The young lady driver. There were 3 works BMWs. They finished 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and the young lady and her driver were actually 5th. Again, that was another Norton powered outfit. She, I can't remember how many years she raced for, but she only did 1 Isle of Man race, I believe. If I remember correctly, her husband, her first husband, had died whilst racing. And in 1958, she was going to get married. Told the driver that she was getting married and was going to retire. He failed to find another passenger, so asked her if she would actually just do one last race, Czechoslovakian Grand Prix in 1958. On the penultimate lap, on the last corner, they crashed. She was killed instantly, and the driver died a few days later, which is rather tragic. When you've said, I'm going to give up, and then that happens. So yeah, it's a bit sad. It was unfortunately very much a fact of life back then that safety standards, safety equipment was a lot worse than it is now. I mean, obviously people still die on the Isle of Man on a regular basis. Hopefully nobody's going to have a fatality this year, but the odds are definitely stacked against it from history. But it was interesting. There was actually an article on Crash.net where somebody had asked the dumb question of Peter Hickman, don't you think it's dangerous? Well, yeah. He has the option, firstly, to not do it, and secondly, if he thinks it's a bit dodgy, to slow down. And it's amazing how many people have said that over the years. People do this voluntarily. Nobody's forcing them to. Admittedly, some people actually, they make enough just from doing the TT, they don't have to race the rest of the year. I mean, I know Michael Dunlop was basically doing the TT and very little else now. He basically turns up, does the TT, probably makes enough money from that to last him the rest of the year. And that's more or less all he's doing. I don't think he's doing too much else at the moment. But yeah. Anything else interesting? Yes. Like I said, this was first used in 54. They carried on using it from 54 all the way through to 59. For 55, they added the lightweight class, which is the 250cc machines, and also the 2 clubman's classes. I think that was 2, junior and senior. Hopefully I got that right. For some reason they only did the clubman's for 55, but the other 3 classes, the Sidecar, the ultra lightweight and lightweight, carried on till 59. 59 was when the record was set for the fastest lap in the solos, so the 8 lap record, which was 8 minutes and 4 seconds, I believe. Set by, who was it? Tarquinio Pervini on an MB Augusta. That's just over 80 miles an hour. The other weird thing, as far as 1959 is concerned, obviously that was the last year they had the sidecars around this circuit. Eric Oliver, who won the 1954 race, entered the 1959 race with what was basically a road-going motorcycle with a road-going Watsonian sidecar outfit, and his passenger was his wife. Yes, weirdly true. Yeah, why he did that, I have no idea, but it's just one of those bizarre facts. They're going like, well, hang on a minute, and with his wife in the sidecar, and it was basically a road-going sidecar. They were 10th in that race. They did actually finish. I think there were 2 other people finished behind them. In terms of attrition, I don't know if I actually mentioned how many people started and finished each race, but for 54, the ultra lightweight, there were 18 starters and 9 finishers, and for the sidecars, 23 starters and 15 finishers. So definitely a very high attrition rate. I mean, you're talking about 106 miles, 108 miles, is it? Something like that. Oh shit, I got that wrong. Turned in too late. So reasonable distance for 1950 something. So they were definitely a sort of almost endurance races in Grand Prix back in the day. Like I said, an hour and a half, quite a long race. Now, for 1960, they moved all the races back onto the main circuit. And I can't remember if Eric Oliver had actually, whoops, oh bugger, had actually raced solos around here. I think he may have done actually. So he had a lot of experience on the full mountain course. I'll double check and see that I in fact am talking correctly about him there. I'm sure he'd done a lot of solo races, so he had plenty of experience of the full mountain course. So when they swapped over to the full mountain course, he was yep, I should do really well here because I've got lots of experience. Obviously you've got limited whoop, got a bit confused about which corner I was at there. Easily done around here. With his experience, he was hoping to do really well. Unfortunately, he and his passenger, during the practice for the race, had a nasty accident. I believe his passenger broke his back. Now, broken back doesn't necessarily mean you can't walk anymore. It just means you probably broke a couple of vertebrae, but it doesn't specify. Whatever, both Eric Oliver and his passenger at the time decided that'll do, and they both retired. So they never actually raced in 1960, despite actually starting the practice sessions. So yes, interesting one. I believe it did have one race where they raced, I believe it was probably in a classic meeting in 1978 round Brands Hatch. But I got this weird feeling I've actually seen Eric Oliver. It might have been doing some sort of parade at a classic meeting. Eric died in 1980, I think it was. So he'd had a fairly good innings. I was just trying to remember when he was born, 1911 I believe. So he wasn't exceptionally old. He actually had a car dealership in Staines, I think it was, selling Reliant Robins amongst other things. As I said, interesting character. As far as the circuit goes, because I should probably mention something about that, it is in some ways quite technical. Actually got a few more twisty sections than the main circuit has. Definitely not as flat out everywhere, but it's got plenty of fast sections, but it's got a few of these really tricky little, like this corner's a right pain. If you're a bit late on the brakes in there, because it drops off a cliff. with some really dodgy camber on it, so it's quite easy to drop it into there. There's also a lot of sections that look very similar, so it's quite easy if you haven't done a lot of laps to get confused about where you are. Probably doesn't help that I'm not checking the little mini map, because that would help. It would help if you move it a little bit. I would like to be able to move the mini map. Oh shit, don't hit the grass. There's some quite tight corners, and there's quite a lot of quite rapid sections, so oh, did I brake too late? No, just about made that. That's one of those corners that sort of sucks you into it, and this one's the same actually. You think you can carry a lot more through it than you potentially can. Oh, don't do that. See if I manage to finish last this time. Trouble is, when you wind the AI up, you get to the point where you can't afford to fall off. Oh. This is definitely one of these points where you're thinking, where do I brake, where do I brake, where do I brake? And then you go on, I brake too early. You leave about a yard late and you go on, I brake too late. Couple of nasty bounces through there. It's, again, quite a tight little section. And then it's a matter of spotting the... Oh, I do it every time, get it wrong. Probably on that white checkered box would probably be ideal, but I'd not really noticed that before, because I'm usually looking too far up the road. Through into the nook. Trying to not clip the curbs. And avoiding the gunner's dip across the bridge. And is that the finish line this time? It should be. Where did we finish? Oh, I wasn't last. Bugger me. That was a lapse. 6 minutes 40. Yeah, that's 15-20 seconds far slower than I have managed. I have managed 16 minutes 20 something. So obviously not whilst trying to talk at the same time. So yeah, it's an interesting circuit. It's a very nice circuit. It's got a nice combination of very fast sections, some very tricky little technical sections, some dodgy braking zones, I have to say, especially into Ballacourt corners where you just and the front end can go. Also signpost corner where you come out that estate onto the bit where you turn left, where you're coming back onto the mountain course again. Again, very tricky. If you go too wide, it seems to have a mucky section on the road there, which you can lose the front end quite easy. But that is a nice little circuit. It's not too long, so like I said, 7 minutes a lap. So if you want shorter races, that's quite good for that. But yeah, nice little piece of tarmac to play on. Right, I will record the replay, and then I will try and work out if I can get it in the corner. I think I've stuck my face up in the top left. Hopefully. I tried recording it with recording the my mug separately and it was a bit stuttery, so I had to start again. So, for me, for now, enjoy racing, have fun, and don't forget you can watch the highlights if you're in the UK on, I think it's ITV. Is it on Channel 4? One of the two. I think it's on ITV. So, that's on all this week and next week. And good luck to everybody who's competing and stay safe. So, but for me, for now, to all you virtual racers out there, have fun, enjoy racing, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Where's my button?